Welcome to the Sleep Carriage. My name is Christopher. Tonight we're going back. Not just a few hundred years, but back to the very beginning of human thought, to a time when the world was lit only by fire and by the stars. It was a life of profound hardship and simple, breathtaking beauty. And let's be honest, you probably wouldn't survive this for more than a day. It was tough. But tonight, you don't have to hunt or fight or worry about the cold. You just have to listen. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see where these stories travel at night. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The air on your skin is cold. Not just a little chilly, but a deep, biting cold that seeps into your bones. You pull the rough animal hide tighter around your shoulders, its familiar weight a small comfort. The only warmth comes from the crackling fire in front of you, a living, breathing circle of orange and red in an endless ocean of darkness. The smell of pine smoke is thick in your nostrils, mixed with the scent of damp earth and the subtle musk of the other bodies huddled here with you. This is the rhythm of life, the world shrunk down to this small bubble of warmth and flickering light. Your hands are rough, calloused from work you don't have words for. You stare into the flames, your mind quiet. There are no deadlines to worry about, no complicated social events to navigate. There is only the hunt, the fire, and the family. The day was hard. The hunt was successful, and your belly is full for the first time in a while. A deep, quiet contentment settles over you. As the fire begins to burn a little lower, its hungry roar softening to a gentle crackle and hiss, the light on the ground fades. And your gaze, no longer captivated by the dancing flames, drifts upward. And you see it. You see the night sky as no one in the modern world ever can. There is no moon tonight, and the darkness is absolute, a pure velvet black. But it is a blackness completely and utterly saturated with light. Stars. So many stars that they seem to be layered on top of each other, a glittering dust of diamonds scattered across the heavens. The Milky Way isn't a faint, hazy band you might glimpse from a remote park. It is a brilliant, textured river of light, a celestial cloud so bright it almost seems to have depth and shadow. It spills across the entire dome of the sky, a magnificent tear in the fabric of the night. You don't know that you are on a planet spinning in space. You don't know that these are distant suns burning trillions of miles away. To you, this is simply the top of the world. A vast, dark ceiling, perforated with countless tiny holes that let an unimaginable light shine through. Your mind, the same human mind that is so brilliant at finding patterns, a predator's tracks in the mud, the shape of a good stone for a tool, the subtle change in the forest that signals the coming of winter, begins to do what it does best. It searches for order in the beautiful chaos. Slowly you start connecting the dots, not with any grand purpose, but simply because it's familiar. Over there, 3 bright stars in a perfect straight line. They look just like the 3 stones you used to prop up a cooking pot over the fire. You see them every night. They are a landmark, a friend. Near them, a brighter reddish star glimmers like an ember from your fire, tossed high into the night. And that sprawling curve of stars. It looks like the jawbone of the great cave bear, the one whose skull rests in the sacred part of the cave. Your mind makes the connection without even trying. It imposes the known world onto the unknown sky. This is the first act of astronomy. Not a science, but an act of companionship. You are giving the sky a human face, a familiar shape. It makes the vast, terrifying darkness feel a little smaller, a little more like home. The rhythm of life is reflected in the rhythm of the sky. Some historians wonder just how old these first star pictures might be. Deep within the caves at Lascaux, a 17,000-year-old painting shows a majestic bull. Just above its shoulder is a curious cluster of dots. Could this be the constellation Taurus, the bull with the Pleiades star cluster on its back? Elsewhere in the cave, a figure of a man seems to face down the beast, and near him are 3 marks that could be the belt of Orion, the hunter. No one knows for sure, of course. There is no writing, no one to tell us. It's a mystery whispered from the deep past. But it's a comforting thought, isn't it? That the great hunter in our sky might have been hunted by our ancestors in their minds, their stories echoing down through more than 15 millennia. You don't think in such terms. You only know that the sky is not just a ceiling but a story. And it's not just a story but a power. You have seen how the moon grows fat and then withers to nothing, and how the women's bodies follow that same silent rhythm. You have noticed that when a particular star, a very bright one, begins to appear in the morning sky just before the sun, the rains will soon come. The sky is not separate. It is part of everything. What happens up there is deeply connected to your life down here. Perhaps the great bull in the sky is the spirit of all bulls. If you make a mark in its image before a hunt, maybe it will grant you success. Perhaps that line of 3 stones is a celestial hunter, and if he is high in the sky, it is a good time for your own hunt. This isn't superstition. It is the world's first science, an attempt to understand cause and effect in a world full of mystery. You are learning to read the sky like a book, the very first book ever written. The cold deepens. The fire is now just a bed of glowing red embers. The others are asleep, their soft breathing a gentle sound in the immense silence of the night. But you stay awake for a few moments longer, just looking up. You feel impossibly small under the vast, glittering canopy. A tiny, fragile thing in a world of giants and spirits. But you also feel a strange sense of belonging. The sky is immense, but it is also predictable. Those 3 stones in a row will be there again tomorrow night and the night after. They have been there every night of your life. In a world of constant change and sudden danger, the steady, silent wheeling of the stars is the most reliable thing you know. It is the first clock, the first calendar, the first promise that the sun will indeed rise again. And with that quiet certainty in your heart, you finally lower your head, pull the hide over your face and drift into sleep. You wake to the sound of a distant, chanting voice. The cold, damp earth is gone. Beneath you is the surprising warmth of baked brick, still holding the heat of yesterday's relentless sun. The air you breathe is no longer crisp and pine-scented, but thick, dry, and tasting of dust, clay, and the faint, sweet perfume of incense. You are no longer huddled in a small group around a fire. You are alone, high above a sleeping city, on the flat top of a man-made mountain. This is a ziggurat, a great stepped pyramid reaching for the heavens, and you are one of the watchers of the sky. Your role is no longer a passive one of wonder. You have a task, a sacred duty passed down through generations. You push yourself up, your simple linen robe cool against your skin. Below you, the city of Babylon is a sprawling labyrinth of shadow and form, its lifeblood, the great Euphrates River, a faint silvery ribbon in the starlight. The sky above is still a magnificent spectacle of light, but your gaze is different now. It is focused, trained, and searching. You are not looking for pictures. You are looking for messages. In your hands you hold not a stone tool but a small, damp tablet of clay and a sharpened reed stylus. Your hands are not calloused from the hunt, but soft, with clay dust ground deep into the lines of your palms. You are a scribe, a priest, an astronomer. To your people, these are all the same thing. You move to a low wall at the edge of the ziggurat's peak, your movements practiced and unhurried. The rhythm of life is no longer about the hunt. It is about the meticulous, nightly observation of the heavens. You are reading the great tablet of the gods. The belief that guides your every action is simple. What happens above influences what happens below. The sun, the moon, and the 5 wandering stars, the ones that don't move with the others, are the divine messengers. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. They are the gods themselves walking across the sky. Their movements, their brightness, their meetings with one another, these are the words of a divine language. And it is your job to translate it for your king. Your eyes scan along a specific path in the sky, a celestial highway that you know the wanderers will never leave. This is the path you have divided into 12 distinct houses. 12 constellations that mark the passage of the sun throughout the year. The zodiac. You see the familiar shape of the lion, its bright heart star blazing. You see the faint but unmistakable outline of the scales. And just rising in the east, the strange form of the goatfish. These are more than just idle pictures now. They are the foundations of your calendar, the bedrock of your agriculture, the language of your prophecies. When the sun is in the house of the lion, you know the heat will be at its most ferocious. When it enters the house of the scales, you know day and night are in balance. You are part of a grand project, an unbroken chain of observation stretching back centuries. Every night, priests like you have come to places like this to record what they see. On tablets of clay you note the position of the moon. You mark which zodiac house it occupies. You see that Jupiter, the great god Marduk, is bright and strong tonight. This is a good omen. You press your stylus into the damp clay, making the small wedge-shaped marks of your cuneiform script. Your entry is precise, mathematical. It is not poetry, it is data. And this data is made possible by your people's genius for numbers. You do not count by tens but by 60s. It's a wonderfully flexible system. You divide the circle of the sky into 360 degrees. You divide the passing of an hour into 60 minutes. It's a strange and beautiful way of counting that will inexplicably survive for thousands of years, long after the ziggurats have crumbled to dust, resting on the faces of clocks in a world you could not even dream of. A quiet, mathematical echo of your civilization. Historians will one day debate the precise reason for 12 houses in your zodiac. It seems a logical choice, a way to mark the 12 cycles of the moon in a single year. But you know in your bones that it is more than that. Your gods are beings of order and perfection. The number 12 feels complete, divine. It gives the year a sense of balance and structure. Was it a choice of convenience or an act of deep religious significance? The answer is lost to the clay tablets, a subtle mystery hidden behind the lists of observations. Your work is of the utmost importance. The fate of the empire, the health of the king, the success of the harvest, all are tied to the messages you read in the sky. An unexpected eclipse is not a wondrous event, but a terrifying omen that the moon god has been attacked. You must perform the correct rituals, warn the king, and protect the land. The disappearance of Venus from the evening sky is the goddess Ishtar descending into the underworld, a time of sorrow and worry. Your readings are not an academic exercise. They are the nation's first and most important line of defense. Slowly, a faint gray light begins to bloom on the eastern horizon. The sky begins to pale from black to a deep indigo, and the dimmer stars begin to dissolve like salt in water. Your work for the night is almost done. You make your final marks on the clay tablet, a small but vital contribution to the immense celestial library stored in the temple below. Thousands of such tablets, a record of centuries of celestial movement, form one of the greatest scientific achievements of the ancient world. You turn your back on the fading stars and begin the long walk down the great stone steps of the ziggurat. Below, the city is beginning to stir. The first sounds of life, a baker's cart, a crying child, the lowing of an ox, drift up to meet you. You have spent the night in the realm of the gods, and now you return to the world of mortals, carrying their silent, starlit message with you. The sky has been read. The day can now begin. The darkness that surrounds you now is different. It's not the dry, dusty dark of Mesopotamia, but a soft, humid blackness that feels heavy and alive. The air you breathe is thick with the scent of the river, a rich, earthy smell of silt, wet reeds, and the sweet perfume of lotus flowers opening in the night. The great stone ziggurat is gone. Instead, you stand on the wide, flat roof of a sandstone temple, the stone cool and smooth beneath your bare feet. The silence here is not empty, it is filled with the gentle, constant sounds of the Nile. Water lapping against the shore, the deep croak of a bullfrog, the low hum of insects. You are a priest and you are waiting. All of Egypt is waiting with you. The land is thirsty. The sun has baked the fields into a network of cracked, gray clay. The great river, the source of all life, has shrunken, its flow lazy and weak. The granaries are emptying. A feeling of quiet, patient anticipation hangs over the entire kingdom. The rhythm of life has slowed to a near standstill, a collective holding of the breath. Your gaze is fixed on the eastern horizon, where the sky is just beginning to transition from impenetrable black to a soft, deep indigo. Unlike your counterparts in Babylon, you are not here to record the movements of every wandering star or to interpret a complex web of omens. Your task tonight is singular, sacred, and profoundly hopeful. You are watching for the return of a single star, the most important star in the sky. You are watching for the goddess. For 70 days she has been absent, hidden in the glare of the sun, traveling through the Duat, the underworld. But you know she will return. The ancient texts have promised it. Your own observations year after year have confirmed it. You scan the horizon, your eyes trained for that first familiar glimmer. And then you see it. For a breathtakingly brief moment, just as the darkness begins to yield to the coming dawn, a point of light of impossible brilliance flashes on the horizon. It is brighter than any other star, a pure white-hot diamond spark that shimmers in the moist air. It is Sopdet, the star we call Sirius, and she has returned. A cry escapes your lips, a sound of pure relief that is echoed by other watchers on other temples up and down the river. The signal is given. The vigil is over. The new year has begun. The goddess's appearance is a sacred promise. The Ake, the season of inundation, is here. Soon the Nile will begin to swell, its waters rising to spill over its banks, carrying the rich black silt that will replenish the exhausted fields and ensure life for another year. This single celestial event is the pivot upon which your entire civilization turns. It is a moment of profound joy, a divine guarantee that the cycle of life will continue. The Egyptians' relationship with the stars is different from the Babylonians. While they created star maps and calendars, their focus was less on foretelling the future and more on understanding the eternal, repeating present. The sky was not a source of anxiety, but a source of stability. The reliable return of Sopdet was a reflection of Ma'at, the fundamental order, truth, and justice of the universe. As long as she returned, all was right with the world. This belief in the stars as a guide for eternity extends beyond the world of the living. You have seen it with your own hands, helping to prepare a noble for his journey into the afterlife. You have looked upon the magnificent sarcophagi, their heavy lids painted on the inside with a breathtaking map of the night sky. These are not decorations. They are essential tools for the deceased. These star charts, marked with the 36 star groups called the decans, were a calendar and a clock for the soul. The spirit, navigating the treacherous darkness of the underworld, needed to know the hour of the night. Each hour was ruled by a different deity, and the soul had to be ready to speak the correct spells and perform the right rituals to pass safely. The stars you see in the sky were a map not just for navigating the Nile, but for navigating eternity itself. Yet there is a quiet, subtle mystery in your precise art. You and the other learned priests know that your calendar, the human attempt to capture the divine rhythm, is imperfect. You count 365 days in your year. It is a neat, orderly number. But the true year, the time it takes for the earth and stars to return to their exact starting positions, is just a little bit longer by about a quarter of a day. Over a single lifetime, the difference is negligible. But over centuries, the calendar you keep on your papyrus scrolls will begin to drift. The day that you have marked as the first day of the new year will no longer be the day that Sopdet actually appears. Some historians in the far future will wonder about this. Did you notice this slow, inexorable drift? Of course you did. Your observations were too precise to miss it. How did you reconcile this human imperfection with divine perfection? Perhaps the answer is that the physical event was always more important than the written record. The goddess's promise was not a date on a scroll. It was that brilliant flash of light on the horizon. Her return was the truth. The human calendar was just a convenient approximation. The rhythm of the goddess was what mattered, not the rhythm of the scribe. The sun is now clearing the horizon. a blazing disk of orange fire that instantly begins to heat the air. The brilliant light of Sopdet is washed away, her message delivered. The other stars have vanished. The night is over. Below you in the temple courtyard, the sounds of morning rituals begin, the chanting of priests, the clatter of ceremonial vessels. There is a new energy in the air today, a lightness born of relief. The waiting is over. The promise has been kept. You take one last look at the great glittering river, and you feel the deep, unshakable harmony between the water below and the sky that was just above. Both are sacred, both are life, and both move to a rhythm that is eternal. The world cools around you. The day's oppressive heat lifts from the stone and the dust, replaced by a gentle, fragrant breeze that whispers of the nearby sea and the wild thyme growing on the hillsides. You are not on a temple roof, but sitting on the wide marble steps of a public building, the stone still holding a faint, pleasant warmth. Around you, a small gathering of neighbors and friends has settled in the deepening twilight. The air smells of olive oil, baked bread, and the salty tang of the Aegean. An old man, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, sits on a higher step, his voice the only sound in the quiet plaza, save for the chirping of cicadas. The sky above is not yet black, but a deep, luminous indigo, and the first and brightest stars have begun to prick their way through the veil of dusk. But the old man is not a priest reading omens, nor a scribe noting the movements of the heavens for a king. He is a storyteller. And tonight, his theater is the entire cosmos. The rhythm of life here is not one of duty or of agriculture, but of epic human drama. He raises a trembling, gnarled hand and points to a familiar pattern of 5 bright stars, a shape like a crooked W. There, he says, his voice raspy but clear. See her? That is Cassiopeia, the vain queen of Ethiopia, forever trapped in her throne. He tells her story and the sky transforms. You no longer see just 5 points of light. You see a foolish queen who boasted her beauty was greater than that of the immortal sea nymphs. You hear the anger of Poseidon, the sea god, who sent a great monster, Cetus, to ravage her coastline in punishment. The storyteller's hand drifts to a faint, trailing line of stars nearby. And there, her poor daughter Andromeda, chained to the rocks as a sacrifice to the beast. His voice drops to a whisper and the crowd leans in. You look up and your imagination fills the space between the stars. You see the terrified princess, the churning waves, the shadow of the approaching monster. The sky is no longer a silent, distant place. It is alive with tragedy and fear. But look, the old man exclaims, his energy returning as he points to another constellation, bright and bold. Here comes the hero, Perseus, fresh from his quest to slay the Gorgon Medusa, flying on his winged sandals. He traces the hero's path across the sky as he swoops down to save Andromeda and turn the great sea monster to stone. The entire epic, a sprawling drama of jealousy, sacrifice, and heroism, is written in starlight, a permanent spectacle for anyone who bothers to look up. This is the great gift of the Greeks to the night sky. They took the ancient patterns, the lions and bulls and scorpions of the Babylonians, and they breathed life into them. They gave them families, histories, and fatal flaws. The sky became a vast, interconnected storybook, a reflection of their own tumultuous, passionate, and very human world. It was a way of making sense of the universe, not through mathematics or meticulous observation, but through the power of narrative. The storyteller now turns his attention to the north, to a shape so familiar it feels like an old friend. The 7 bright stars we might call the Big Dipper. But to us, he says, this is not a ladle. It is the flank and tail of a great she-bear, Callisto. He tells her sad tale, a beautiful nymph, a favorite of the goddess Artemis, who was tricked by Zeus and then cruelly transformed into a bear by Zeus's jealous wife, Hera. 4 years she wandered the forests, hunted and alone. One day her own son, Arcas, now a young man, came upon her. Not recognizing his mother, he raised his spear to kill her. But Zeus, the storyteller says softly, would not allow such a tragedy. To save them both, he snatched them up and placed them in the heavens, where they could be together forever in peace. Callisto as Ursa Major, the great bear, and her son Arcas as Ursa Minor, the little bear. But the storyteller leans forward, a glint in his eye, to share a final, curious detail. Hera's vengeance was not finished, he whispers. She went to the great god of the ocean and demanded that the bears be forbidden from ever touching his waters. And that, he explains, is why you can see them tonight, slowly circling the northern pole star, forever turning through the sky, but never, ever dipping below the horizon to bathe in the sea. It is a beautiful, strangely specific story, a piece of folklore created to explain a simple astronomical fact. As you listen, a quiet thought drifts into your mind. The storyteller speaks as if these tales were born from the Greek hills themselves, but you have heard whispers from sailors and traders of similar star pictures seen in the far-off lands of Mesopotamia and Egypt. The bull, the lion, the twins, these are not new shapes. They are ancient forms redressed in Greek clothing. How did they get here? Historians of the future will puzzle over this for centuries. No one is entirely sure how these ancient star shapes journeyed from the ziggurats of Babylon to the hills of Greece. Perhaps they were carried on clay tablets, exchanged in bustling ports, or perhaps they simply diffused slowly, person to person, a whispered secret passed across the ancient world. The origin of the star pictures is a mystery, a journey taken in whispers and shadows. The oil lamp at the storyteller's feet sputters and dies, plunging the plaza into the soft, silvery light of the stars alone. His voice trails off. The stories are over for tonight. The small crowd begins to break apart, their quiet goodnights echoing in the warm air. You stand up, stretching your stiff limbs, and begin your walk home through the dark, narrow streets. But your head is tilted back, your eyes still on the sky. It is no longer a void, but a world of characters. You feel a kinship with them now, a personal connection to the vain queen and the brave hero. You fall asleep that night not with the structured certainty of a priest, but with your mind full of stories, dreaming of monsters and magic written in the eternal ink of the cosmos. The storyteller's voice has faded, a pleasant dream of the past. You are awake now in a different kind of silence, a studious quiet that fills a grand, pillared room. The air is warm and still, carrying the scent of aging papyrus, beeswax from the oil lamps, and a faint, briny hint of the sea from the great harbor below. You are in Alexandria, the jewel of Egypt, the intellectual heart of the Roman world. Outside, the city hums with a dozen languages, a crossroads of culture and trade, but here, in the cool solitude of the great library, there is only the quiet pursuit of knowledge. You sit before a long wooden table, a heavy papyrus scroll unrolled before you. Its surface is covered not with stories of heroes, but with precise geometric diagrams, columns of numbers, and elegant Greek script. The questions that occupy your mind are no longer who, but how and why. The myths are beautiful, essential for understanding the human heart, but you and the scholars around you are possessed by a different kind of hunger. The desire for a system, for an underlying order that explains the universe. You are searching for the cosmos, not just a collection of things, but a beautiful, ordered, and understandable whole. And on the scroll before you is the culmination of centuries of that search. It is the work of the great astronomer Claudius Ptolemy, a map of the entire universe. It is breathtaking in its ambition and its elegance. You lean closer, tracing the central diagram with your finger. At the very center is the Earth, a solid, immovable sphere. It is your home, the ground beneath your feet, and it is the fixed point around which everything else revolves. This feels right, self-evident. You do not feel the world moving, so it must be still. Wrapped around the Earth, you see a series of concentric circles, each one representing a perfect, transparent sphere made of a divine, crystalline substance. They are nested within each other, a set of immense cosmic shells. The closest sphere carries the moon on its silent journey. The next two belong to Mercury and Venus. Then comes the great sphere of the Sun, the bringer of day. Beyond that, the spheres for Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, the other wandering stars. And finally, the largest, outermost sphere of all, which holds the fixed stars, the familiar constellations of the zodiac, the heroes, the monsters, the bears. They are all attached to this final sphere, which makes one slow, majestic rotation every single day. The rhythm of life is no longer tied to the harvest or a story, but to the silent, perfect grinding of this celestial machinery. The philosophers speak of a sublime harmony created by the turning of these giant spheres, a music of the spheres, too pure and perfect for human ears to perceive. The universe is a grand, divine instrument, and it plays one perfect, eternal song. It is a profoundly comforting idea. But there is a problem. A small, irritating detail that complicates this perfect picture. The planets. Their very name in Greek, planets, means wanderers, and for good reason. They do not behave. While the sun, moon, and stars trace smooth, predictable paths, the planets seem unruly. They speed up, they slow down, and most bafflingly of all, they sometimes appear to stop, move backward against the backdrop of stars for a few weeks, and then resume their forward motion. This retrograde motion is an offense to the idea of perfect, circular movement. How can there be such a clumsy, backward loop in a divinely ordered cosmos? This is where Ptolemy's true genius is revealed. You study the smaller diagrams on the scroll, the ones that try to explain this celestial puzzle. The solution is as complex as it is brilliant. The planet, he explains, is not attached directly to its great crystal sphere. Instead, it is fixed to the edge of a smaller, secondary wheel, an epicycle. This small wheel then turns, and it is the center of this wheel that is carried along the main path around the Earth. It is like a small stone on the rim of a spinning potter's wheel, which is itself being carried on a cart. The stone's resulting path is a series of beautiful, intricate loops. You trace the looping pattern with your finger. It works. The math is undeniable. This system of cycles and epicycles, of wheels upon wheels, perfectly predicts the strange backward dance of the planets. It is a complex, almost fussy solution, but it saves the central, most important principles. The Earth is the unmoving center of the universe, and all motion in the heavens is perfectly circular. It is a monument to human ingenuity, a system so mathematically powerful it feels like a final, unassailable truth. And yet, you have read of another idea, a whisper from the past. In a much older scroll, you once read of a philosopher named Aristarchus of Samos who lived centuries ago. He had a strange, unsettling thought. What if the reason the planet's movements seem so complex is because we are observing them from a moving platform? What if the Earth itself is one of the wanderers, circling a vast, fiery sun at the center of the universe? The idea is so radical you can barely hold it in your mind. The ground beneath you feels so solid, so stable. To imagine it hurtling through the empty void of space is dizzying, nonsensical. The idea was dismissed in its own time, and it has been all but forgotten. A ghost of a different cosmos. A road not taken. You carefully roll the precious scroll, tying it shut with a linen cord. The mystery of Aristarchus fades from your mind, eclipsed by the sheer mathematical power of Ptolemy's universe. You walk to a high, arched window and look out at the moonlit city and the star-dusted sky. You no longer see just myths or omens. You see a grand, intricate clockwork of crystal spheres, turning in silent, mathematical perfection around you at the center of everything. You feel a deep sense of peace, the intellectual satisfaction of a puzzle solved. The cosmos has a structure and it is known. You go to sleep that night with the profound and comforting certainty that you understand the shape of the universe, a beautiful, perfect shape that will remain the undisputed truth for the next 1400 years. The scholar's study in Alexandria, with its scent of old papyrus, feels like a distant memory. You find yourself in a different world, one of cool marble and the gentle rhythmic splashing of a fountain in a central courtyard. You are reclining on a cushioned couch in the open-air portico of a Roman villa, perched on a hill overlooking the greatest city in the world. The air is mild, fragrant with night-blooming jasmine and the sharp, clean scent of cypress trees. Below you, Rome is a vast, sprawling sea of lights, 100,000 flickering oil lamps and torches that seem to mimic the starfield above. You are a Roman. Your world is one of order, power, and a deep, unshakable sense of certainty. The rhythm of life is the steady, marching beat of the legions, the sound of the lawmaker's gavel, the grand project of empire. You were educated, of course, by a Greek tutor, a clever slave who taught you the old stories. You know the tales of Cassiopeia and Orion the hunter. But when you look up into the night sky, you see something different. You see Rome. The heavens have been assimilated, their names and meanings reformed to suit the new masters of the world. That brilliant, steady wanderer, the one the Greeks called Zeus, is not some mythic philanderer from Mount Olympus. He is Jupiter Optimus Maximus, the greatest and best, the patron of your state and the embodiment of divine justice. The blood-red star that trembles near him is not Ares, the chaotic god of slaughter. He is Mars, the divine father of your people's founders, Romulus and Remus, the protector of your legions on distant frontiers. And the impossibly brilliant jewel that hangs in the west after sunset is not the fickle Aphrodite. She is Venus Genetrix, the mother of Aeneas, and through him the ancestor of all Romans. The old Greek stories are still told. They are beautiful poetry, fine subjects for a mosaic or a fresco. But the sky itself has become a reflection of Roman power. The complex, mind-bending geometry of Ptolemy's spheres, perfected in Alexandria, is acknowledged as a work of genius. You accept its truth. The earth is the center of the cosmos and the heavens turn around it. But your interest is less in the philosophical why and more in the practical what for. The sky is not a puzzle to be solved, but a tool to be used. The celestial calendar, inherited from the Egyptians and Greeks and reformed by your own leaders, is the clockwork that runs the empire, dictating festivals, planting seasons, and the collection of taxes from the misty shores of Britannia to the hot sands of Arabia. This intense pragmatism has led to an obsession that grips every level of your society, from the slave to the emperor himself. Astrology. The belief that the positions of the planets at the moment of your birth can determine your fate, your personality, your fortune. It is more than a casual belief, it is high politics. You think of the emperor, secluded in his palace on the Palatine Hill. You know that one of the most influential figures in his court is his personal astrologer, a man who wields immense power through his interpretation of the celestial signs. The emperor's horoscope is a state secret, more closely guarded than military plans. To be caught possessing it or even speculating about it is a death sentence. Publicly predicting the emperor's demise based on a planetary alignment is not just idle talk. It is an act of treason. The stars have been weaponized, their movements scrutinized not for universal truths, but for whispers of conspiracy, for signs of imperial favor or disfavor. The heavens have become a second, silent Senate, its debates and portents endlessly analyzed by those hungry for power. But as you lie there, under the silent gaze of the planet you call Jupiter, you quietly question the depth of it all. You perform the public rituals. You offer the correct sacrifices at the temple on the correct days. It is your duty as a citizen, a public affirmation of the order that holds the world together. But do you truly believe that red dot of light is a God who will hear your prayer for your nephew's safety on the battlefield? Is it a literal truth, or is it a useful and beautiful story? Some historians of the future will wonder about this, about the line between faith and tradition in the Roman mind. Many of your educated friends, in the privacy of their libraries, read the Stoic philosophers who speak of a single impersonal divine logic, a far cry from the very personal, very political gods who now populate the sky. It is a quiet mystery, the precise nature of belief hidden behind the marble mask of imperial religion. You have inherited the myths of one conquered people and the science of another, and you have bent them both to the purpose of empire. The sky has been made to serve Rome. It is a source of divine authority for the emperor, a calendar for his administrators, and a book of fate for his subjects. It confirms your place at the center of the world, just as your earth sits at the center of the cosmos. The moon rises over the distant Colosseum, its silvery light washing over the tiled roofs of the city. A sense of destiny settles over you, a feeling of being a small but important part of a grand, eternal project. Blessed by the celestial guardians you see wheeling slowly overhead. You close your eyes, comfortable and secure, under the watchful protection of the Roman heavens. The universe is orderly, it is powerful, and it is yours. The comfort of Rome dissolves like a dream. The warm, jasmine-scented air is violently replaced by a frigid, wet wind that stings your face with salt spray. The solid marble floor is gone, and under you is the rough, damp timber of a deck that is never still, rising and falling with the long, dark swells of the open ocean. You are cold. A deep, bone-aching cold that the coarsest wool cloak cannot keep out. The world is a symphony of groaning wood, the rhythmic slap of waves against the hull, and the sharp crack of the great square sail as it catches the wind. This is a Viking longship, and you are far from home on the vast, unforgiving North Sea. The sky above is a terrifying, beautiful thing. Free of the haze of cities, the stars are brilliant, cold points of light, like chips of ice scattered on black cloth. But you are not looking at them with the eyes of a poet or a philosopher. You are not a Roman asserting your divine right, nor a Greek scholar mapping the heavens. Out here, the stars are not a subject of study or a source of political authority. They are a tool. They are the difference between finding the shores of a new land and being lost forever in this endless churning water. The rhythm of life is the heave of the oar, the crash of the wave, and the silent, desperate trust in the sky. There are no comforting stories here. The squabbles of gods on some distant, sun-drenched mountain seem like childish tales in this world of elemental fury. Your gods are here with you in the thunder and the sea foam. Your stories are of heroes and monsters, meant to be roared over mead in a smoky longhouse, not whispered in a quiet courtyard. The sky is too stark, too serious for that. It has one sacred purpose, to show you the way. Your gaze, and that of the ship's grizzled navigator, is fixed on a single steady point of light in the northern sky. All the other stars, all the great patterns, will slowly across the heavens as the hours of the night pass. But this one star does not move. It is a nail hammered into the great turning bowl of the sky, the Lyre-Stjarna, the guiding star. It is your anchor in the chaos. As long as you keep it on your right-hand side, you are heading west. As long as it is visible, you are not lost. It is a truth more real and more valuable than any prophecy from a priest. It is a fact, and in this world, facts are what keep you alive. You recognize other patterns, of course. That great arc of 7 stars, the one the southerners see as a bear, is a wagon to you. The Karlswagen, the man's chariot. Other shapes are familiar signposts, points of reference on the great, dark map. But they are not characters in a drama. They are landmarks. Your relationship with the sky is not one of reverence, but of a deep, practical respect. The way a woodcutter respects the grain of the wood, or a blacksmith respects the heat of the fire. You use it. You depend on it. But the guiding star only serves you in the darkness. What of the long, gray days of the northern summer, when the sun is a hidden smudge behind a uniform blanket of cloud? How do you find your way then? This is where the true secret knowledge of your people comes into play. The future world will lose this knowledge, and historians will debate its very existence, turning it into a legend. But for you it is real. The navigator holds a small milky crystal, a sunstone. It looks like nothing special, a cloudy piece of rock. You have seen him use it on those hopeless, overcast days. He holds it up to the brightest part of the sky, turning it slowly back and forth. You watch, mystified, as a faint, shadowy line appears within the stone itself, a line that shifts and changes as he rotates it. When the line is sharpest, he makes a small mark on the ship's rail. He has found the sun. The stone has shown him the sun's position, hidden behind the impenetrable clouds. Feels like magic, but it is a lost science, a way of reading the subtle patterns in the light itself. It is a secret of the Northern Sea, a quiet mystery that will one day be argued over in books you could never imagine. The eastern sky begins to pale, a cold, cheerless gray that promises another day of wind and water. The stars begin to fade, their duty done. The guiding star is the last to vanish, its faithful light finally consumed by the dawn. You look out at the horizon. It is the same in every direction, an unbroken, unforgiving line where dark water meets gray sky. There is no sense of being at the center of a divinely ordered cosmos here. There is only a small, open boat, a hardy crew, and a vast, dangerous world to cross. You pull your damp cloak tighter, feeling the ship rise on another massive swell. You do not feel the comfort of a Roman or the certainty of a Greek. You feel a rugged competence, a fierce trust in your ship, your companions, and in the simple, unwavering truth of that single point of light that will return to guide you when the next darkness falls. The day has begun and the journey continues. The raw, cold sea fades into a distant memory. The damp wool and groaning timber are replaced by the soft whisper of silk and the cool touch of glazed tile beneath your feet. You are in a sun-drenched courtyard, surrounded by elegant archways and the lush green of a well-tended garden. A fountain murmurs in the center, its gentle splashing a counterpoint to the distant, vibrant hum of a great city. The air is warm and dry, fragrant with the scent of roses, spices from a nearby bazaar, and the scholarly aroma of ink and old paper. You have traded the Viking longship for the House of Wisdom, the Beit al-Hikmah, in the magnificent city of Baghdad, the heart of the Islamic Golden Age. Here, the sky is not a tool for mere survival, but a subject of intense, passionate, and reverent study. In the lands to the west, in Europe, the old knowledge is in retreat. Libraries have been burned, scrolls lost, and the elegant mathematics of the Greeks have been largely forgotten, replaced by simpler, more mythic interpretations. But here, in this sanctuary of learning, you are part of a great and noble project. To find, to translate, and to preserve all the knowledge of the ancient world. The rhythm of life is the disciplined scratch of the reed pen on paper and the quiet, respectful murmur of intellectual debate. Before you on a carved wooden table is a copy of Ptolemy's great work, the Almagest. It has made a long journey from Alexandria, passed through many hands, a precious flame of knowledge kept alive against the dark. Your task is to render its dense Greek into the flowing, beautiful script of Arabic. But you are not just a translator. You and your colleagues are astronomers, mathematicians, thinkers. You are not just copying the ancient wisdom, you are absorbing it, challenging it, and building upon it. As you work with Ptolemy's magnificent star charts, you begin to give the celestial bodies new names, names born from your own language. The names are often practical, descriptive, and poetic. The bright, reddish star that marks the eye of Taurus the bull, you call Aldebaran, meaning the follower, because it appears to follow the Pleiades star cluster across the sky. The brilliant star on the hunter Orion's shoulder becomes Yad al-Jawza, the hand of the central one, which will one day be smoothed into the name Betelgeuse. Orion's bright knee becomes Rijal al-Jawza, the foot of the central one, which the future will know as Rigel. You are clothing the heavens in a new language, and these names, your names, will endure for more than a millennium, a permanent celestial echo of the work being done in this room. Your reverence for Ptolemy is immense, but it is matched by a passion for precision that drives you to test his calculations for yourself. The Caliph, a great patron of science, has funded the construction of magnificent observatories. These are not just platforms for viewing the sky, they are sophisticated scientific instruments. You have spent time at the great Al-Shamsiyya Observatory, and you have marveled at its centerpiece, the mural quadrant. It is a massive, perfectly engineered arc, a quarter of a circle, built into a thick wall aligned perfectly with the north-south meridian. Made of polished brass and marked with hair-thin gradations, it allows you to measure the altitude of a star as it crosses the celestial meridian with a precision the Greeks could only have dreamed of. This is not just philosophy. It is a rigorous, data-driven science. And this obsession with accuracy leads to a profound and troubling discovery. Your observations are too good. They are so precise that they begin to reveal tiny, yet undeniable errors in Ptolemy's beautiful crystalline machine. You observe the moon night after night, and your measurements prove that it does not change in size as dramatically as Ptolemy's system of epicycles predicts it should. You chart the strange motion of Mercury and find that the Greek model, while close, is just a little bit clumsy. This creates a stir in the House of Wisdom. You and the other scholars debated in quiet, respectful tones. You are not heretics. You are perfectionists. You begin to devise new mathematical models. A group of brilliant astronomers in the city of Moraga will create ingenious alternatives, still keeping the Earth at the center, that eliminate some of Ptolemy's most awkward constructions, creating a more elegant and physically plausible system. You are chipping away at the details of the great work, correcting its flaws, but you do not dare to challenge its foundation. The Earth remains the unmoving center of God's creation. Future historians will look back at your work and wonder, you were so close. You had the mathematical tools, the observational data. Were you just one final, daring conceptual leap away from placing the sun at the center? Or was that a leap you were culturally and religiously unwilling, or simply saw no reason to make? It remains a quiet mystery of what might have been. As the sun begins to set, the haunting, beautiful sound of the call to prayer echoes from the minarets of the city's mosques, rolling across the rooftops and into your courtyard. You carefully lay down your pen. You have spent your day in communion with the ancient Greeks, honoring their legacy, checking their work, and weaving their knowledge into the fabric of your own culture. You have been a guardian, a vital link in an unbroken chain of human curiosity. You walk to the archway and look out as the first stars begin to appear in the twilight sky. You see the familiar shapes, but you whisper their new names. Aldebaran, Rigel. The sky feels closer, more intimate. It is the sky of Ptolemy, yes, but it is also now and forever the sky of Al-Sufi and Al-Batani. It is your sky. You feel a sense of peace and purpose, unaware that the translations you have penned and the corrections you have made will one day find their way back to Europe, carried by traders and scholars, ready to spark a revolution. The libraries of Baghdad, with their ordered shelves and the dry rustle of paper, dissolve into shimmering heat. The scent of ink and roses is gone, replaced by the clean, sharp, all-encompassing smell of salt and open water. You are no longer surrounded by walls, but by an endless 360-degree horizon of the deepest blue you have ever seen. You are sitting on the platform of a great double-hulled canoe, a vaca, that glides almost silently through the warm waters of the Pacific Ocean. The sun is a friendly warmth on your bare shoulders, and a steady trade wind fills the great triangular sail above you. The only sounds are the soft rush of water past the twin hulls and the gentle creak of the coconut fiber ropes that hold your vessel together. You are not a scribe, carefully preserving the knowledge of the past. You are a student, an apprentice wayfinder, learning a science that has never been written down. Your teacher is the Palu, the master navigator, an old man whose skin is the color of weathered teak and whose eyes hold the wisdom of 1,000 nights at sea. There are no books on this canoe. There are no charts, no compasses, no astrolabes. All the knowledge you need is around you and, most importantly, inside you. The rhythm of life is the pulse of the ocean swell beneath you, a deep, slow breathing you can feel in your bones. Your school is the sea and the sky. In the day, you learn the language of the waves, the subtle shifts in the wind, the flight paths of birds that tell of distant, unseen land. But at night, the true map is revealed. As the sun sets, painting the sky in fiery colors, the stars emerge. They are not the characters of Greek myth, nor the subjects of Arabic mathematical formulas. To you they are family. They are the signposts on the great unmarked ocean road. The Palu is quizzing you now, his voice soft but firm above the sound of the water. He points not to a scroll but to the dark line of the horizon. The canoe is aimed at the setting of the great fishhook, he says. Where will the turtle rise? Your mind works. You are not calculating angles or degrees. You are accessing a map you have built in your mind since you were a child. The sky is a compass, a great circle divided not into 360 degrees, but into the 32 houses where a familiar star or constellation will rise in the east and set in the west. You point to a spot on the horizon to the left of the canoe's wake. There, you say. The old man nods, a rare, small smile on his lips. You are sailing towards a tiny, undiscovered island, a mere speck of land thousands of miles from your home. Your only guide is this mental compass of stars. You know that as long as you keep the canoe aimed at the point where the brilliant stars of the fishhook, what Western eyes will call Scorpio, disappear into the sea, you are on the correct path. As the night deepens and the fishhook sinks too low, you will change your guide, switching to another star that is rising, or one that is at its highest point in the sky. It is a constant, fluid process of observation and adjustment, a silent conversation with the heavens. This is a science so profound that for centuries, people from other lands will refuse to believe it is possible. They will look at the vast emptiness of the Pacific and conclude that your ancestors could only have found these scattered islands by accident, by being blown off course on miserable one-way drift voyages. The mystery to them will be, how could they do it? They will not understand that your science is not stored in books but in memory, in chants, in stories, and in the sinews of your body. The Palu has taught you to feel the direction of the ancient ocean swells, even while you sleep. A long, uninterrupted swell from the northeast is the sign of open ocean, a current that has traveled for thousands of miles. A choppy, confused pattern of waves is a sign that a low, unseen atoll is blocking and reflecting the swell, telling you of land long before you can see it. Your mind, your body, and the canoe itself are the instruments. You are not an observer separate from the world you are measuring. You are a part of it. The wind on your skin, the taste of the spray, the feeling of the canoe's motion, it is all data. It is a holistic, deeply connected way of knowing, passed down through generations in an unbroken oral chain. There is no paper to crumble, no ink to fade. The knowledge is alive, carried in the minds of the people who use it. The night is fully dark now, the sea and sky a seamless dome of black, dusted with the brilliant powder of the Milky Way. The Palu is asleep now, his body relaxed but his senses still attuned to the motion of the sea. It is your watch. You hold the great steering paddle, making tiny, subtle adjustments. Your eyes are fixed on the sky. You are a boy on a simple vessel of wood and rope, in the middle of the largest ocean on Earth. You are surrounded by an immensity that would feel terrifying to anyone else. But you are not scared, and you are not lost. You are a wayfinder. The stars are your ancestors, your guides, and your map. You know exactly where you are. The warm, humid air of the ocean vanishes, replaced by a cold so pure and thin it makes your lungs ache with every breath. The gentle rocking of the canoe has stilled, and you now stand on solid, unmoving ground, a platform of immense stones, fitted together with such precision that not even a blade of grass can grow between them. You are high in the Andes Mountains, so high it feels like you are on the roof of the world. The silence is absolute, a deep, ringing quiet that only exists in the great empty spaces of the earth. Below you, agricultural terraces cascade down the steep mountainside like a giant staircase, and in the distance, the lights of Cusco, the sacred capital of the Inca Empire, glitter faintly in the valley. But your attention is upward on the sky. Here, in the crisp, oxygen-poor air, the heavens have a depth and clarity that is almost overwhelming. The stars do not seem to be stuck to a distant dome. They feel close, layered, some seemingly near enough to touch. And the Milky Way, it is not the faint, hazy band seen from the lowlands. It is a magnificent, turbulent river of light, so bright and textured that it seems to cast its own soft shadows on the ground. You call it the Mayu, the celestial river. To you, it is the direct counterpart of the sacred Urubamba River that flows through your valleys below. They are one and the same, a single circulatory system flowing between the heavens and the earth. The rhythm of life here is the great cosmic cycle, the Pachacuti. The universe is a place of sacred dualities, above and below, light and dark, sun and moon. Everything that exists here on the Ke Pasha, the world of the living, has a divine counterpart in the Hanan Pasha, the upper world. And you, as a priest and a keeper of time and a Mauda, are a bridge between these worlds. But your way of seeing the stars is profoundly different from that of any other culture. The astronomers in the desert lands of Arabia, the philosophers in Greece, they all look to the points of light, connecting the bright stars to make their pictures. Your gaze, trained since childhood, does the opposite. You look at the darkness. Your most important constellations are not made of stars, but of the seemingly empty spaces between them. You look into the brightest, most dense part of the Mayu and you show me what you see. You are not looking at the countless stars. You are looking at the dark, irregular patches of interstellar dust that wind through them. Where others see an absence of light, you see a presence. You trace the shape of a great llama, the Yakana, its long neck, woolly body, and legs formed entirely by the blackness. Its eyes are the two brilliant stars we know as Alpha and Beta Centauri, but to you, they are just the glittering eyes of the true dark constellation. You see the fox, the toad, and the great serpent, Makikue, all hiding in these celestial shadows. These are the Yana Fuyu, the dark cloud constellations. They are the true animals of the sky. In your cosmology, the darkness is not empty, it is substance. It is the celestial earth, the divine clay from which life emerges. The stars are merely the background, the shimmering water of the river that flows around these dark, living forms. It is a worldview of breathtaking originality, a complete reversal of the way the rest of the world sees the night. Your astronomy is also deeply practical. It is your duty to regulate the agricultural calendar for a vast empire. From sacred pillars on the hillsides around Cusco, called sucancas, you watch the position of the rising and setting sun to determine the precise time for planting maize and potatoes. Your temples and sacred sites, your huacas, are not placed randomly. Many are aligned with the rising and setting points of the stars, or the sun on the solstices. The Great Torian at Machu Picchu, a masterpiece of curving stonework, has a window specifically designed to capture the first rays of the June solstice sun. Your work binds the heavens, the emperor, the people, and the land into a single sacred functioning whole. And how do you record this complex knowledge? Not with ink on paper. In your hands you hold a quipu. It is an intricate assembly of colored strings made from llama and alpaca wool, hanging from a thicker, primary cord. You run your fingers over it, feeling the bumps and textures. You are reading it. Each knot, its type, its position on the string, the color of the thread, the way the string itself is twisted is all part of a complex, three-dimensional language. You use it to record census data, military movements, histories, and the sacred calendar. But here lies a great and tragic mystery. The knowledge you so carefully encode into these knots, a unique system of storing information, will one day be lost. Your empire will fall to invaders from another world, and the key to reading the quipus will vanish with the last of the Amautas. A library of Andean history, science, and a unique vision of the cosmos will be rendered silent, its knotted secrets undecipherable to the future. The mountain air grows colder still. You finish tying a new knot on a string, a record of the fox's position in relation to the moon. You look from the quipu in your hands to the great dark animals in the sky. You know that the water in the celestial river, the Mayu, is drunk by the sun, and then falls as rain to feed the mountains, which in turn feed the rivers below. It is a perfect, unending cycle, and you are its humble bookkeeper. You feel a deep sense of belonging, of being a part of this living, breathing cosmos, completely unaware that your world and its profound understanding of the darkness are balanced on the edge of oblivion. The high, wild Andes fade, and the world encloses itself. The vast, open sky is now framed by the stone arches of a cloister. You are walking on smooth, worn flagstones surrounding a small, perfectly manicured garden. The air is no longer thin and icy but cool and damp, carrying the scent of wet earth, boxwood hedges, and the faint, sweet smell of beeswax from the chapel. You are a monk in a monastery, a small island of order and learning in the often chaotic world of medieval Europe. Your life is one of prayer, labor, and study. The rhythm of life is the tolling of the canonical bell, a sound that divides the day and night into 7 sacred offices, structuring your every waking and sleeping moment. The world outside these thick stone walls is one of uncertainty and faith. But the cosmos, you know with absolute certainty, is a place of flawless, unchanging order. You pause in your walk and look up at the stars through a gap in the cloister's roof. To you, the universe is a divine book written by God to reveal His glory, and thanks to a great intellectual effort, its text has been made clear. The works of the ancient masters, Ptolemy and Aristotle, have been returned to you, trickling back into Europe from the great libraries of the Islamic world, translated from the Arabic that saved them. And in their earth-centered model, you see a perfect reflection of Christian truth. It is not a scientific theory, it is a ladder of spiritual reality. At the very center is the earth, stationary and solid. It is the center because humanity is the focal point of God's great drama of sin and salvation. Deep in the heart of the terrestrial sphere is hell, the realm of the fallen. Your world, the surface, is a place of change, decay, and mortality. But everything above the moon is different. The moon's sphere is the great dividing line. Above it all is perfection. All is incorruptible, eternal, and unchanging. You gaze up at the planets, tracing their paths through the constellations. They are not gods as the pagans believed, nor are they mere balls of rock. They are perfect orbs, embedded in flawless crystalline spheres, each turned by the intelligence of an angel. Sphere after sphere they ascend towards God. Beyond the last planet, Saturn, is the great sphere of the fixed stars, the familiar zodiac. And beyond that, beyond the visible is the true reality. You imagine, as you have been taught, another sphere, perfectly transparent, called the crystalline sphere. And beyond that, the final, ultimate boundary of creation, the primum mobile, the first mover. This is the sphere that borders the empyrean, the timeless, infinite abode of God Himself. What makes the entire vast cosmic machine turn? It is the will of God acting upon the primum mobile. Like the first and most powerful gear in a divine clockwork, its motion is transmitted down through each of the nested spheres, a cascade of perfect heavenly motion that keeps the sun on its course and the stars in their places. The universe is a cathedral of light and order, and its architect is God. Your work as a scholar is to understand this divine architecture. You have two great books to guide you: the book of Scripture, the revealed Word of God, and the book of nature, His created world as described by the ancient philosophers. And since God is the author of both, they cannot possibly contradict each other. Your life's intellectual and spiritual task is to demonstrate their perfect harmony. But, in the quiet solitude of the scriptorium, you know this is not always simple. The great thinker Thomas Aquinas dedicated his life to this synthesis, but small, nagging questions remain. The Bible speaks of the waters which were above the firmament. How do you reconcile this with spheres made of a perfect crystalline element? A comet appears in the sky, a fuzzy, transient visitor. According to the model, nothing can change in the heavens above the moon. Therefore, this comet cannot be a celestial object. You and the other scholars patiently explain it as a phenomenon of the Earth's upper atmosphere, a fiery exhalation from the swamps and marshes, like weather. You must constantly work to smooth and fit and reconcile, to ensure the two books speak with a single harmonious voice. Future historians will debate the inner life of this belief. Did you, in the lonely hours of the night watch, ever feel a flicker of doubt? When you saw a new star briefly flare up where no star should be, did you ever wonder if the heavens were not so unchanging after all? Or was your faith so complete that you saw only a miracle, a sign from God, and not a challenge to the system itself? The mystery is the silent, internal labor of maintaining a perfect, flawless model of the cosmos in a universe that is sometimes hinted at being more complex and far stranger. The monastery bell tolls again, a deep, resonant sound calling you and your brothers to matins, the night prayer. You pull the hood of your simple robe over your head and turn away from the sky. The stars are not an object of study for their own sake. They are a confirmation of what you already know to be true. They are the visible proof of God's power and intelligence. The cosmos is orderly, finite, and filled with divine purpose. And your place within it is secure. You enter the candlelit chapel, your heart filled not with questions, but with the deep, quiet peace of a man who lives in a universe whose every motion is an act of praise to its creator. The deep, ordered peace of the monastery fades, not into chaos but into a different kind of quiet. It is the focused, solitary silence of a scholar's study. You are in a cold, high room in a tower in Frombork, a town in the distant kingdom of Poland. The air smells of aging paper, ink, and the damp chill of stone that never quite warms. Outside your window, the world is bustling with the sounds of a market town, but here you are alone with your books, your hand-drawn charts, and a single world-altering idea. You are a man of the church, a canon, your life dedicated to its rhythms and duties. But your true passion, the work that keeps you awake long into the night, is the mathematics of the heavens. Like the great scholars of Baghdad centuries before you, you have studied Ptolemy's ancient system. You admire its ingenuity, but it also deeply troubles you. The more you work with it, the more it feels wrong. A jumble of fixes and patches. All those epicycles, those wheels upon wheels, created just to make the observations fit. It seems to your mind like a monster. A clumsy, complicated contraption unworthy of a perfect, all-wise creator. God, you believe, would have built a universe that was simpler, more elegant, more harmonious. For 30 years, this conviction has led you down a quiet, lonely, and revolutionary path. On the heavy oak desk before you lies a manuscript, the result of a lifetime of patient calculation. You pick up your quill, and on a fresh piece of paper, you sketch the diagram that has come to define your existence. You begin not with the earth, but with a circle in the center, which you label soul, the sun. Then, with a hesitant hand, you draw another circle around it, Mercury. Then another, Venus. And then comes the moment that changes everything. The third circle. You draw it, and on its path you place a small sphere, Terra. The earth, your home, your world. No longer the center of creation, but just the third of 6 known planets. A wanderer like the others, with its own smaller moon circling it like a faithful companion. Beyond the Earth, you sketch the paths of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. This is your secret, the heliocentric cosmos. An idea so profound that for decades you have kept it mostly to yourself, circulating it only in short and signed pamphlets among a few trusted friends. You are Nicholas Copernicus, and you are not a revolutionary firebrand. You are a quiet, cautious man. You fear not the fires of the Inquisition, but the ridicule of your fellow astronomers. To suggest the Earth moves, that this solid, heavy ground beneath you is in fact hurtling through space at an unimaginable speed, it contradicts Scripture, it contradicts the wisdom of the ancients, and it contradicts the simple evidence of your senses. And yet, your mathematics are undeniable. If you place the sun at the center, the clumsy, backward motion of the planets is explained simply and naturally. It is just a matter of perspective, of your faster-moving Earth overtaking a slower-moving Mars in its orbit, making it appear to go backward, like a faster ship overtaking a slower one at sea. The ugly complexity of Ptolemy's system melts away into a beautiful, logical harmony. But even as you make this monumental leap, one foot remains firmly planted in the ancient world. You are still enthralled by the Greek ideal of perfection. heavenly motion you are certain must be perfectly circular. And because the planets do not, in fact, move in perfect circles, your system still doesn't quite work on its own. To make your calculations match the observed positions, you find you must add small epicycles back and heels upon wheels, the very complication you had hoped to eliminate. Future astronomers will wonder at this. How could a mind so brilliant as to move the earth be so bound by the aesthetic of the perfect circle that he could not abandon it? It is a quiet mystery, a testament to how difficult it is to completely escape the ideas of the past. Your revolution is only half complete. You stand and walk to the narrow window looking out at the night sky. But you are seeing it with new eyes. That brilliant point of light is not the planet Venus traveling on a crystal sphere around you. It is another world like yours circling the same central fire. The ground beneath your feet is not a fixed stage, but a great ship, sailing on an endless cosmic ocean. The stars are no longer set in a nearby sphere, but are now unimaginably, terrifyingly distant, their true nature a complete unknown. The universe has suddenly expanded to a size that is almost too vast to contemplate, and humanity's position in it has become profoundly humble. Your friends have finally persuaded you to publish your life's work. As an old man on the verge of your final rest, you have agreed. The book on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres is dedicated to the Pope himself, framed not as a statement of physical reality, but as a mathematical hypothesis to produce better tables of planetary motion. It will not make a loud crash when it arrives in the world. It is a dense, difficult book of geometry. It is not a shout but a whisper. A slow-burning fuse, placed quietly at the foundation of a 1,400-year-old worldview. You will not live to see the fire it ignites. You go to your sleep, a quiet scholar who sought only to find a more harmonious universe, having unknowingly given the world a new and unsettling cosmos. The quiet, chilly study of Copernicus fades, and the air warms around you. You are in Italy, in the vibrant, energetic world of the late Renaissance. It has been more than half a century since the old canon's book was published, and his heliocentric idea remains what he intended it to be, a curious mathematical hypothesis, debated by a few scholars but largely ignored by the world. It is an elegant whisper, but a whisper is easy to dismiss. What the world needs is a shout. You stand on a stone balcony overlooking the city of Padua, the mild night air carrying the distant sounds of music and laughter. Your workshop is behind you, smelling of linseed oil, polished wood, and the fine dust from ground glass. You are not just a thinker, you are a craftsman, a builder. In your hands you hold a new invention, a spyglass, based on a design you heard of from a Dutch lens maker. But you have refined it, improved it, spending countless hours grinding your own lenses until you have created a version far more powerful than any other in existence. And tonight, like every clear night for the past several months, you are not pointing it at distant ships in the harbor. You are pointing it at the heavens. You raise the long leather-bound tube to your eye, a simple device that is about to dismantle a universe. First, you aim it at the moon. For 2,000 years, the world has been taught that the moon is a perfect, immaculate sphere, made of a pure, celestial element as smooth as a polished stone. It is the first rung on the ladder to God's perfect, unchanging heaven. But that is not what you see. Through your lens, the moon leaps into startling reality. It is not smooth. It is rugged, scarred, and imperfect. You can clearly see vast, dark plains which you mistake for seas. You see brilliant mountain ranges, their peaks catching the sunlight while the valleys below are still steeped in shadow. You can even calculate the height of those mountains by the length of their shadows. It is a world, a place, as flawed and as real as the earth beneath your feet. In a single moment, with a single glance, the great celestial wall between the corruptible, mortal earth and the perfect, unchanging heavens has been breached. It has begun to crumble. The rhythm of your life is now a feverish, nightly quest for discovery. You turn your telescope to the planet Jupiter, that bright, wandering star. To the naked eye, it is a single point of light. Through your instrument, it resolves into a small, distinct disk. And then you notice something else. 3 tiny, sharp points of light nearby, 2 on one side and 1 on the other, all in a perfect, straight line. The next night you look again. They have moved. They are all on the same side of Jupiter. Night after night you watch, sketching their positions with a trembling hand. You realize what you are seeing. They are not fixed stars. They are moons, 4 of them, circling Jupiter. This discovery is a thunderclap that echoes across Europe. The old system of Ptolemy and the Church insisted that everything in the heavens must circle the earth. Yet here, clear as day, is a mini-solar system, a family of moons orbiting another world. The universe, it seems, has more than one center. You know you must publish these findings immediately, not in a dense, mathematical book like Copernicus's, but in a short, sensational pamphlet you will call The Starry Messenger. It is accessible, exciting, and will become an instant bestseller. In a shrewd political move, you name your new discoveries the Medicean stars, in honor of the powerful Medici family of Florence, securing their patronage and your protection. But the most decisive blow is yet to come. You turn your gaze to Venus. In the old Ptolemaic system, Venus circles the Earth on a path between the Earth and the Sun. From our perspective, it should therefore only ever appear as a crescent. It could never show a full face. But Copernicus's model, with Venus circling the Sun inside of Earth's orbit, made a clear prediction. Venus should show a full range of phases just like the Moon. You watch it week after week. You see Venus as a thin crescent. Then it grows to a half, then to a gibbous phase, and then triumphantly to a small, perfect, fully illuminated disk. The debate is over. The ancient Earth-centered system is not just clumsy, it is demonstrably false. Copernicus's idea was a quiet mathematical seed. Your telescope has made it grow into an undeniable, observable tree. And this is what makes it so dangerous. His book could be dismissed as a fantasy for geometers. But you are showing people things. You are turning an abstract theory into a physical reality. The old worldview was not just science. It was the foundation of philosophy, theology, and society's sense of its own importance. By showing that the heavens are not perfect, that other worlds have moons, and that the earth is not the center, you are not just correcting a chart. You are shaking the pillars of the cathedral. Future historians will debate the complex mix of science, politics, and your own abrasive personality that led to your famous trial. But the conflict was perhaps inevitable. You finally lower the telescope, your eye aching from the strain, your mind buzzing with the immensity of it all. The sky you have been looking at is not the cozy, finite home of your ancestors. It is a vast, deep, and mysterious place, filled with countless other worlds, and its deepest secrets can be revealed by a simple piece of carefully shaped glass. You have proven that you live in a new cosmos, and you feel a dizzying, terrifying, and exhilarating sense of wonder. The quiet whisper from the tower in Poland has, through your spyglass, become a roar. The exhilarating roar of Galileo's discoveries has faded over the centuries, becoming the accepted foundational truth of the new cosmos. The telescope is no longer a strange new invention but the primary tool of a mature and sophisticated science. You are no longer a solitary discoverer on an Italian balcony, but a member of a committee in a quiet, high-ceilinged room in a European university. The year is sometime in the early 1920s. The air smells of old paper, drafting ink, and chalk dust. The walls are covered not with paintings, but with vast, intricate star charts and large, beautiful photographic plates of the heavens, captured with the new power of the camera. The universe that the telescope revealed is unimaginably vast, beautiful, and messy. Centuries of observation by astronomers all over the world have filled the celestial sphere with wonders, but also with confusion. The ancient constellations of the Greeks have been stretched and redrawn. New constellations have been proposed and then forgotten. Stars near the edges of these imaginary figures are often claimed by 2 or even 3 different constellations. The beautiful storybook of the sky has become a tangle of competing claims and overlapping borders. Your world, the world of modern astronomy, craves order. The rhythm of your life is not one of breathtaking discovery, but of patient, meticulous organization. You are part of a new global body, the International Astronomical Union, and your task is a monumental one: to create the first and final official map of the entire sky. You are not an explorer but a cartographer. Your job is to draw the borders. You sit at a large drafting table, a chart of a region of the sky spread before you. You are not connecting stars to make pictures. You are using a ruler and a protractor to draw perfectly straight lines of right ascension and declination, the celestial equivalents of longitude and latitude. You are methodically, deliberately, dividing the entire sphere of the sky into 88 distinct and legally defined regions. When you are finished, every single point of light, from the brightest star to the faintest, most distant galaxy, will have a permanent, unambiguous address. You and your colleagues agree to preserve the 48 ancient constellations handed down by Ptolemy. The heroes, the monsters, the great animals of the zodiac, they will all keep their places in the sky. But your attention turns to the charts of the southern hemisphere, the stars that were invisible to the ancient civilizations of the north. Here, the sky is filled with a different kind of constellation, their names reflecting not myth and legend, but the great age of exploration and the Enlightenment. You trace their outlines, these modern additions to the celestial family. There is no great bear or flying horses here. Instead, you find fornax, the furnace, a tribute to the chemical laboratory. There is antlia, the air pump, and microscopium, the microscope. There is telescopium itself, a constellation named in honor of the very instrument that revealed this new sky. They are not romantic, but they are a fitting testament to the new way of seeing the universe, a place to be understood through reason, mathematics, and scientific instruments. The most difficult part of your task is deciding which constellations to erase forever. Over the centuries, enthusiastic astronomers have tried to place their own marks on the heavens. A French astronomer, a cat lover, proposed the constellation Felis, the cat. A German astronomer created Frederick's glory to honor his king. There was even a printing press, an eel, and a hot air balloon. Your committee must now act as the final editor of the sky. You debate which of these proposed figures have been used long enough to be kept, and which are to be decommissioned, their stars absorbed into the territories of their neighbors. It is a quiet, celestial gerrymandering, and future historians will wonder at the closed-door debates that decided why the telescope was allowed to stay, but the cat was cast out of the heavens for good. As you draw these final lines, you reflect on how the very meaning of a constellation has changed. To the ancients, it was a picture, a story, a group of stars that belonged together. But you know that the stars of a constellation are rarely a true family. The bright stars that form the great hunter Orion, for instance, are a complete illusion of perspective. The red giant star Betelgeuse on his shoulder is about 550 light-years away from us, while the brilliant blue-white star Rigel at his knee is almost 860 light-years away. They have no physical connection to each other at all, they just happen to lie in the same general direction from our vantage point on Earth. Your new map makes this understanding concrete. The pictures are a beloved and useful fiction from our past, but the borders are a modern, scientific necessity. You put down your pen and lean back, looking at the finished chart. It is clean, precise, and unambiguous. The wild, poetic, and often disputed territories of the sky have been neatly partitioned. It may feel a little less magical than the storybook of the Greeks, but it is infinitely more useful. The age of simply drawing pictures in the sky is over. With a complete and orderly map, the real work of modern astrophysics of understanding what the stars are, how they work, and the true scale of the cosmos can now begin. You feel the quiet satisfaction of a librarian who has finally organized an infinite library, putting every last book in its proper, permanent place. The quiet, orderly room of the mapmakers dissolves into the soft darkness that surrounds you now. The charts, the ink, the straight-ruled lines, they all fade away. The journey through time is over. You are no longer a priest on a ziggurat, a navigator on a longship, or a scholar in a monastery. You are simply you, resting in your bed in your own time, listening to the sound of a voice. The grand tour of history is finished, and all that is left is you and the night sky. Look up in your mind's eye. Picture the stars, scattered across the deep, quiet blackness. Pick one. Any one. A faint one or a bright one. And think about the light from that star. It feels immediate, as if it is shining on you right now, in this very second. But it is not. The light is a traveler. It is impossibly ancient. The universe is so vast that even at the unimaginable speed of light, the journey from the stars to you takes time. The light from the brilliant star Vega, high in the summer sky, took 25 years to reach you. It began its journey when you were a completely different person, or perhaps not even born yet. The light from Polaris, the North Star, the same star that guided the Vikings, has been traveling for over 400 years. When the photons of light that are entering your eyes tonight left their star, Galileo was still under house arrest for his challenging ideas, and Shakespeare's plays were new to the stage. You are looking at a postcard from the past. You are a time traveler, and your eyes are the time machine. And in this, you are connected to every single person we have visited on our journey. The very same Polaris that you see is the one the Viking navigator staked his life on. The same brilliant Sirius, whose light began its journey to you less than 9 years ago, is the same star the Egyptian priest watched for, the divine promise of the flood. The constellations of the zodiac, whose borders have now been so neatly drawn, are the same patterns the Babylonians etched onto clay and the Greeks wove into their epic myths. The sky is a great bridge across time. The light is the messenger. And you are the final recipient of a message that has been read by countless generations. You are the latest link in an unbroken chain of stargazers, stretching all the way back to that first ancestor who, huddled by a fire, looked up into the terrifying, beautiful darkness, and felt a sense of wonder. The same rhythm of the turning sky that governed their lives is the rhythm that turns above your roof right now. But there is an even older light. In between the stars, in the blackest, most seemingly empty parts of the sky, there is a faint, invisible glow. It is the oldest light in the universe, a whisper from the dawn of time. Our modern instruments can detect it. It is the afterglow of the Big Bang, the faint, residual warmth from the moment of creation, still echoing through the cosmos. This light has been traveling for 13.8 billion years to reach you tonight. As you lie here, you are basking in the gentle, fading warmth of the universe's first morning. And what is the final mystery? We have looked back to the beginning, but what of the end? We now know the story of the birth of stars, their fiery lives, and their dramatic deaths. But what is the ultimate fate of the cosmos? Will the universe continue to expand forever, the stars all eventually burning out, leaving a cold, dark, and empty void? Will the expansion slow, stop, and reverse, pulling everything back together in a final, fiery big crunch? Or will a strange, mysterious force called dark energy tear the very fabric of space apart? This is the last and greatest question, the final chapter in the story of the stars, a chapter that has not yet been written. But you don't need to worry about that tonight. All you need to do is rest. The starlight continues its long, silent journey through the void, finally ending its voyage here, in the soft darkness of your room. It is a final, gentle touch from the cosmos. You are a part of this story. Your atoms were forged in the heart of a star that died long ago. You are made of stardust, looking up at the stars. The great cosmic cycle has come full circle. You close your eyes now, feeling the faint, ancient light on your eyelids. You are safe. You are home. And you are connected to everything. And so, our long journey through the starlit past comes to a gentle close. The voices of the priests and the poets, the navigators and the astronomers, now fade into a respectful and peaceful silence. You have traveled across continents and millennia, seeing the same familiar sky through so many different eyes, and you have felt the single unbroken thread of human wonder that connects them all. You have seen the heavens as a storybook of heroes, a divine clockwork of crystal spheres, a practical map on a dangerous sea, and a vast, expanding mystery of physics. But now it is time to let all of these grand ideas dissolve, allowing them to become just a soft, distant background to the much more important task of your own deep and restorative rest. There is nothing more to learn tonight and nowhere else you need to be. All of the questions and all of the answers can wait for the morning light. All that matters now is this moment, this quiet, this feeling of gentle heaviness as your breathing slows and your body finds its perfect comfort. Let the immense, silent peace of the cosmos become your own personal peace, filling the quiet space of your mind. Just let go now and drift into the soft, welcoming darkness, into the calm and restful space of your own deepest dreams.